So how do you take a really good race early in the season and turn it into a really good season all the way through? I'm going to tell you how to keep the momentum going and how you're going to actually kind of break down the season as you're working your way through it. How's it going, runners? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know when the next video comes out. So I just had a really good 5K, okay? So I was really pleased, really happy, and when I look at this 5K, I'm a little bit ahead of where I thought I would be at this point in the season. Basically, my goal for the end of the year, before the end of the year, I want to break 19 minutes for a 5K. And that's tip number one right there, is to know what is your long-term vision for your season. You have to know what that long-term vision actually is to know whether you're on track for it. And you want to make sure that you're not peaking too early, right? You don't want to peak too early and then you're trying to maintain that same level of intensity throughout the end of the year. Now, I had a really solid race, 1909 for a 5K, and that was probably 5 to 10 seconds faster than what I thought I was capable of in the weather conditions that we were running in yesterday. So what we need to do then is we need to try and figure out what are the next steps. So again, that first thing is to make sure that you have the long-term vision and that your short-term goals, the intermediate races leading up to the big race, are supporting that long-term goal, that long-term vision, that long-term mission that you're trying to achieve. Now, once you do a race, now it's time to do the debrief, okay? And I've done a few of these before, and you know, they're really just kind of take 5 or 10 minutes to just be like, okay, this went right, this went wrong, this was okay, and I need to change these things here, here, and here, okay? So this is where you have to be really, really honest about how the race actually went. Did you pace things right? If you did, great. Make sure that you keep it that way. If you didn't pace things well, then now you know what you need to work on in the intermediate steps or in the next race. Maybe you need to dial it back a little bit. Maybe you need to speed it up a little bit. For me, it's always dialing it back. So it's really important to do that debrief and to be really honest about what went on in the race and how are you going to make the adjustments to make what you did better the next time. And this is where you're also making your next short-term goal. So in between races, what you're doing is you're trying to figure out, okay, if I did this here and I made this mistake or I did this well, what can I do on the next race, considering the conditions are the same, and everything is kind of the same. Now this is also the time to set your next short-term goal, so those intermediate races in between, it's where you just had a good race. For me it was 1909 for a 5K. I've got another 5K coming up on November, when was it? November 19th, I believe. So November 19th is when I'm going to do my next one, which is a little over a month away. So this is where I'm starting to set up, okay, what's my next goal for, it's almost a month from now, okay? So I've got like another little mini 4-week training cycle there that I need to figure out, if I do these workouts, will I be able to hit this time, considering all the conditions kind of work out in my favor, right? If it's blazing hot, then I know I'm probably going to be a little slower than I want. If it's nice and cool, maybe I'm ready to roll a little bit, right? So okay, so this is when you have to make those adjustments, change your short-term goals, and make sure that it lines up with your long-term goal as well. Now, you also might think about, do I need to change my long-term goal? For me, I'm looking at, I just ran at 1909, and I'm almost 2 months away from my main race. So am I peaking too early is maybe the question. Or is it is it, and I don't feel that I am. I don't feel that I'm peaking too early, and this is where I have to be honest with myself though. Am I peaking too early? Can I sustain this or get even faster over the next month and a half to 2 months? And I do think that I can. Now there's a moment here after this race that I just did where I know I need to take a couple of days off to make sure that I do come back stronger in the next 3.5, 4 weeks, okay? So making sure that you take that little bit of time, take that day to mourn if you did poorly, or take that day to celebrate if you did well, but then also take that moment to say, okay, do I need to take a day off, 2 days off? Do I need to rest before getting ready for this next short-term goal, and how does that fit with the long-term goal? And then number 3, and this is kind of a similar point, but does your training actually support your short and long-term goals? So for me, I know if I'm thinking long-term, I've got about 7 weeks or so until my main 5K that I want to do. So, and if I've got about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks until my next one, my intermediate one, I need to figure out what do I need to do between now and then also be thinking a little bit ahead about what I'm going to do after that race leading into the main race. So this is where I'm thinking, okay, there are some slightly more specific workouts that I need to be doing. I probably need to be pulling away from MAF style training a little bit, pulling away from the lower heart rate training, still using that for recovery runs and easy mileage. But I need to put a little bit more focus on maybe some tempo runs, a little bit more tempo runs, a little bit more speed work, okay, a little bit more weight training. That's something I definitely want to incorporate between now and the next one. I'm going to start doing some heavier strength training, core, squats, deadlifts, upper body even. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that to make sure that I have the strength to get that speed going. And then thinking even ahead after that race, leading into my main race, changing from the heavier and more power-based lifting to more of like plyometric or body weight stuff that's boom, explosive kind of power, right? So is my training going to support my short-term and long-term goals, right? Okay, so that's basically it. This is how I plan on keeping my momentum going after this 1909 5K. Number 1, long-term vision. I've changed my primary goal of running a sub-19 5K before the end of the year. I've changed that now to running 18:45. Okay, so that's my new long-term goal based on what I just did and based on my history, because I know my PR as a high schooler was 18:22, so I know I'm not totally far off or crazy to think that I could run 18:45 by the end of the year. Okay, so 18:45, new long-term goal. What is my goal, the intermediate goal for that next race, right? So this is where I'm thinking about those adjustments that I need to make based on the race that I just did. And so number 2, I did the debrief, and now I know what adjustments I need to actually make. Like I said, I did well in that 1909 5K. That's why I'm so pumped up about it, right? I did well. There wasn't a lot that I did wrong, but I know that when I do it again next time, I'm going to be in charge of the pacing. I'm not going to have Coach Enoch being the one pacing me. So I need to make sure that I am still being able to dial in the proper pacing. For now, my short-term goal is to go sub-18 on November 19th. So I want to do that. I want to take those 9 seconds off. I want to get under 19 minutes in a little less than a month. Okay, so that's the new short-term goal, and I think that if I start working on dialing in that pace, about 6:05 pace rather than I just did 6:11, So maybe 6:07 or something like that would be where I need to land. I need to start dialing in that pace and being able to hold it for an extended period of time. So that's why my workouts and my training, number 3, are gonna need to reflect that. I need to do a little bit more speed training, or a little bit more race pace type of training that's going to simulate what I want to do in a race. And as far as the training goes, I need to gain a little bit more strength so that that pace doesn't feel as hard, right? So that whenever I do hit the ground with each step, there's a lot more of an explosiveness or a strength there that's going to propel me forward with each step. But then again, working on the race pace is learning how to control that strength as well. So that's what needs to happen for me between now and November 19th when I do my next 5K, and between now and December 10th when I hopefully can shoot for a 18:45 or so. Okay, so that's all I've got for you guys. That's how I plan on keeping my momentum going throughout this season. Hope that was helpful. Now head on out there, seek your elite. God bless, and I'll see you next time.